Why do over 1 million completely disconnected people vividly remember specific historical events and cultural details that absolutely never happened in our shared reality? You probably trust your own mind implicitly, but what if your most vivid recollections are actually nothing more than completely fabricated internal illusions? This bizarre psychological phenomenon is widely known as the Mandela effect, where massive crowds share identical, detailed memories of a completely non-existent past. It feels incredibly unsettling when you suddenly discover that a famous movie quote or a beloved childhood logo never actually looked that specific way. The deeply unsettling truth is that our human minds do not work like high-tech video cameras, flawlessly recording objective reality onto a physical hard drive. Instead of a perfect recording device, imagine your subjective mind as a wildly disorganized filing cabinet, managed by a highly impatient and exhausted librarian. When you experience something entirely new, your brain hastily shoves those raw sensory details into completely separate, loosely connected mental folders across your cortex. Days or even 10 years later, when you try to recall that specific moment, your brain must quickly stitch those scattered fragments back together. But what exactly happens when some of those crucial tiny details go missing from your messy internal filing cabinet over a long period? Your biological mind utterly hates empty gaps, so it simply fabricates logical assumptions and quietly glues them directly into your original memory structure. You never even notice this seamless editing process, leaving you absolutely convinced that your newly reconstructed narrative is 100% historically and factually accurate. Consider how often rational people swear they remember a famous cartoon character wearing specific clothing that simply never existed in the original 1990s drawings. Their brains logically assumed those missing details based on cultural stereotypes and seamlessly patched the empty visual gap without issuing any internal warning. This constant subconscious editing makes human recall incredibly fragile, easily influenced by the absolute slightest external suggestion or subtle environmental cues around us. Even a single leading question from a trusted friend can instantly reshape your internal narrative, completely altering how you visualize your own past. Now multiply that single biological shortcut by 1 million individuals interacting daily across our vast, highly connected global communication networks and social media platforms. When one person confidently shares an altered recollection, that specific fabricated detail rapidly infects the malleable minds of everyone actively listening around them. Social reinforcement acts exactly like a powerful mental virus, subtly overriding our individual experiences to perfectly match the newly established collective group consensus. We naturally want to align with our local tribe, so our internal editor hastily rewrites our own private history to match the popular version. This creates a massive echoing environment where 10,000 rational people can mutually validate a completely fictional piece of shared history without second thoughts. It is not a bizarre glitch in the matrix or parallel universes colliding, but rather the raw, unfiltered power of human social conformity at work. We are biologically wired by 10,000 years of evolution to implicitly trust the collective tribe, making shared illusions far more powerful than isolated, factual evidence. If you cannot even safely trust the very memories securely stored inside your own head, what else in your daily reality is merely an illusion? We uncover the hidden psychological mechanisms shaping your modern world every single week, exposing the unseen forces actively controlling your everyday human decisions. Hit that subscribe button right now to continue exploring the bizarre mysteries of human cognition and permanently unlock the deepest secrets of your own mind. To understand why our modern minds constantly fabricate these bizarre historical inaccuracies, we must look backward into our deep evolutionary past for answers. 10,000 years ago, human survival heavily depended on processing environmental patterns instantly, rather than perfectly memorizing every single blade of grass. Your ancestral brain prioritized sheer biological efficiency, demanding rapid cognitive shortcuts to save immense amounts of precious energy during daily life-or-death situations. If ancient humans saw a sudden rustle in the dark bushes, their minds immediately generalized the shape and assumed a deadly predator. Waiting to carefully analyze the exact visual details of that hidden animal would literally guarantee immediate extinction for our early human ancestors. Today, we possess that exact same biological hardware, but we desperately try to apply those rapid survival instincts to modern corporate branding. When a tiny visual detail is fuzzy, your incredibly efficient neural network simply guesses the most predictable pattern and fills the void. Evolution rewarded speed over flawless accuracy, leaving us with highly creative biological processors rather than objective, reliable historical storage devices. This brings us to the most terrifying neurological realization about how your personal history is fundamentally constructed every single day. Unlike a static computer file sitting safely on a secure hard drive, human memories are remarkably volatile and dynamically reconstructed upon opening. Every single time you actively recall a specific childhood event, you literally pull that fragile information out of its deep neural storage. During this highly vulnerable retrieval state, your current emotions, recent conversations, and new biases seamlessly mix into the original factual narrative. Once you finish remembering, your brain essentially presses save, permanently overwriting the older version with this newly modified, highly updated draft. This astonishing biological process, known as memory reconsolidation, means the original objective truth is physically erased from your brain architecture forever. This is precisely why eyewitness testimonies in criminal trials are notoriously unreliable and often drastically shift after briefly discussing the terrifying event. Just one slightly misleading piece of external information can effortlessly dissolve into your neural pathways, rewriting your internal reality without any warning. You fundamentally become an involuntary author of fiction, confidently defending a completely altered past that you genuinely believe remains completely untouched. So, should we feel terrified that we are all walking around with heavily fictionalized autobiographies constantly shifting inside our fragile skulls? Not at all, because this extraordinary neural fluidity is the exact same underlying mechanism that fuels human imagination, empathy, and remarkable innovation. If our complex minds were rigid, read-only machines, we would never possess the incredible ability to boldly envision a completely different future. The Mandela effect simply exposes the beautiful, messy reality that our human brains are incredibly talented, highly creative biological storytellers. We constantly blend objective reality with subjective meaning to make profound sense of an overwhelmingly complex and highly chaotic modern physical world. Instead of desperately seeking perfect historical accuracy, we should deeply appreciate the breathtaking flexibility embedded within our own incredible cognitive architecture. Your mind is not a broken camera failing to capture the objective world. It is a masterful internal artist continuously painting its own reality. The next time you misremember a famous historical detail, just smile, because your brilliant biological editor is actively doing its job perfectly.